Good morning, everyone. Audible? On Zoom, everyone, please confirm if we are audible and the screen is visible. Yes, I'm audible. Shambhavi, Harshita, Utkarsh. Okay. So today is the first test, and yes, okay, fine. So yes, so today is the first test, and many of you might be confused that how we will be able to write the answer, because you may not have revised everything whatever we are going to ask in the syllabus, right? But you need to understand one thing, that all the discussions which we are going to conduct in the camp is more about the structuring, understanding the demand of the question, right? And it is about making a daily habit of writing, because in this phase most of us only focus on the content, but trust me, without the structure, content is very difficult to use in the answer. That is what we have seen. We have Sachi ma'am, she is a ranker. So Sachi ma'am, what do you think about it?
Yes, sir. As you have rightly said, that structuring is the most important component in answer writing. Like in my earlier attempts, when I gave my first attempt of mains, I only had content. So I wrote what I knew and not what question asked from me. But later in my attempts, when I got to know the importance of structuring, that okay, what is the demand of the question and how the already content that you have needs to be tweaked or fixed as per the context or the demand of the question, so that the structuring gets sorted. So answer writing, proper answer writing with structuring and demand is the key to success.
Yes, because it is not possible for everyone to prepare the content, right? And after looking at the recent pattern which UPSC has been following, it is very difficult to prepare the content on most probable topic. You will find most of the question are open ended. So when the questions are open ended, it is very, you have to think instantly, right?
Yes.
आपको तुरंत question की demand पकड़नी है, structuring करनी है. You have to think how to apply the templates and the framework. And the purpose of this camp test, I am not here to judge what you are writing in the content. We will be judging what you think while reading, after reading the question. What is in your head, how you are able to write, how you are able to link the demand of the question with the recent context. What is the framework you are using to think about the structuring of the answer. So don't worry about the content. Even if you have no content, still try to fill the pages at least, because that is how I will share the in the group. I will share the copies of the last year camp students who have cleared them all the stages of the examination. And one of the example is Rishul sir. Rishul sir is also like going to be the mentor here. He will be mentoring us. So I will share the copies of Rishul sir, and you will be surprised to see the difference between the answers he wrote on the second day of the camp and after 1 month of the camp. You will be surprised, literally, I'm telling you. You will not even going to recognize that this is the same person who have wrote the answer. So this is the power of compounding answer writing, right? This is a compounding answer writing exercise, and it is going to help you a lot. So I think the time is 8 o'clock. So we will be starting with the test. And again, last message, focus on the structuring. Don't misinterpret the demand, right? Don't rush for the content. As soon as you read the question, think about the structuring, how to apply the logic to generate the point. Any last message, ma'am?
I think just don't be scared that okay, I do not know this question, how should I write it? Just decode the demand, that okay, this is the demand, and then try to write the generic answer. Eventually you will improve, but don't be scared and just decode the demand and then start writing. Give proper headings, don't worry about the content. That's how everyone starts, and that's how you'll be starting.
Yes, okay. So once the test is over, we will start with the discussion. Our focus will be on brainstorming. ठीक है, मॉडल आंसर आप लोगों के पास होंगे, कंटेंट आप लोगों के पास होगा, बट हाउ टू थिंक, हाउ टू यूज द कंटेंट विच यू हैव ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर द मेंस और वी आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड, right? So don't worry about that. Discussions are going to help you a lot. it will change the way you think as far as the answer writing is concerned today in this class. Okay, so the test has already started. You have the question paper. Online student, you can see the question. It will be displayed in 30 seconds. The questions will be here on the screen in a time-bound manner. So you have 7.5 minutes for 10 marker and 11.5 minutes for 15 markers. After that, the question will change. So I'll see you at 8:45. Best of luck.
All the best.
Test is over or still left? Shall we start? Okay, enough time. So, how many of you were able to complete the paper confidently? Anyone? You did? Why? What happened? Are the questions difficult? Then you need to realize the problem. What was the problem? Speed. How do you think that will come? Yes, because this is a very common question, especially many students ask me who are very new, right? Or who have given just not even one mains or maybe one mains. So speed is the problem. Even veterans face this problem. But you need to understand that speed is not something on which you can work. It's like अलग से आप उस पे काम नहीं कर सकते हो. Max you can do is you can start writing fast, right? But you will not learn it if you haven't. So speed is basically a derivative of how you think about the, like how quickly you understand the demand of the question, right? How quickly you can think about the templates or the framework, how quickly you can recall the examples. So only then the speed will improve. अपने आप ज्यादा टेस्ट लिखने से स्पीड नहीं इंप्रूव होगी. Yes, definitely it will help you to some extent, but it depends, it is a derivative. ठीक है, तो आपको बाकी चीजों पे काम करना है. इसीलिए I always emphasize when you look at the question, take 30 seconds, 15 seconds at least to think about how you are going to address, what is the demand of the question, how you are going to structure, and if there is any scope of template or framework to generate the point, right? Only then you will see that you are able to complete the paper in time. And anyway, you all know that it is almost impossible to maintain the same level of quality in all the 20 answers, right? Everyone compromises with the content, the quality in at least 4 to 5 questions, right? So this is another important thing. So out of 20 question, you have to shortlist कि okay, there are 13, 14 questions where I will give my best. But yes, if there is 5, 6 question, I will attempt it in the last, and probably I will not give like 7.5 minutes for 10 marker or 11.5 minutes for 15 marker. So this is what you have to shortlist the questions as soon as you get the question paper in the examination hall. You will get 5 minutes or so, right? तो उतना टाइम है, आप उतना आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो. So you should know how to manage the time. Even when you are writing the full length test in the camp, still you need to follow the same strategy. आप 20 के 20 answers में same level of quality you will not be able to maintain. How to attempt those questions which you have no idea or very less clue, we will see that also. How you can like manipulate your answers smartly, right? How you can create a mirage in the front of the examiner that you know everything, but actually you don't know anything, right? It happens and the rankers does it, right? So we have the rankers also in house. You know that there are 5 rankers who will be dealing with all the doubts or related to the answer writing, your notes, value addition. So after the test, whenever you want, you can get in touch with them. You can book the slots, right? So let's begin with the discussion. The first question: constitutional silence is often as significant as constitutional text. As far as the demand of the question is concerned, right? We will discuss the introduction and conclusion later. But first, I want you to focus on the process. As soon as you read the question, right? What comes in your mind? What is the demand of the question? Is it difficult to interpret the demand of the question? Is it difficult? Yes or no, online students? Please tell me. किसको difficult लगा ये question? Okay. Everyone was comfortable with the demand? Okay. So question says constitutional silence is often as significant as constitutional text, right? So basically अगर आप इसको literally interpret करोगे, then it will be difficult to decode the demand of the question in the first instances, right? But you need to understand the context. Question says constitutional silence, right? So constitution is silent in many aspects, right? And it is not intentionally कि ऐसा नहीं है कि इसको, it is deliberately, it is like that. It has been designed like that, right? That is the reason why Ambedkar, when he was describing the nature of the constitution, he said that this balance between the text and the silence, the balance between the text and silence, this balance is basically, this is what makes the constitution workable and a living document, right? So there was a purpose why the constitution is silent in many aspects, and it is equally important, right? So that is the demand of the question. So question में सबसे पहली चीज, whenever you read the question, you need to understand what is the context, in what context the question is asked, right? And then you need to focus on the tail word, the command word. So there are three things I always ask the students to look for. Whenever you read the question, right, you always have to find the scope. Scope means how to expand the answer. What are the broad subheading, right? So आप जब भी question पढ़ते हो ना, सबसे पहले ये कोशिश किया करो, try to find a scope to divide the statement. Is there any scope to divide the statement of the question? Is there any scope to divide the tail word in the question? And is there any scope to identify the keyword in the question, right? Why it is important? When we divide the statement, or when we try to find the scope through the statement or tail word, we get to know the broad structure. हमको पता चलता है कि broad structure क्या होने वाला है आंसर में. Broad structure means how many subheading you are going to have in your answer. For example, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, right? Because tail word is what here? For example, discuss. So you all, most of you know that there are two kind of tail words. One is descriptive command word and one is critical command word, right? Descriptive का मतलब explain, enumerate, right? These are very descriptive, जिसमें you don't have to think about if and buts. Whatever you see, just vomit it. No need to find the reasoning. Look for the reasoning. These are critical command words are analyze, right? Comment, evaluate, examine. So we will deal with all the command words when the question will come, and I will try to explain the meaning of these tail words in a very layman terms using a very simple analogy. But as far as the discuss is concerned, discuss is a hybrid command word. Hybrid means it can be used as a descriptive, it can be used as a critical also. जैसे कि क्वेश्चन आ गया कि discuss the significance of Vedic text to understand the socio-economic condition of ancient people. अब इस टाइप का क्वेश्चन आ गया, अब उसमें आप क्रिटिकली नहीं सोच सकते हो ज्यादा, राइट? बट फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्वेश्चन आ गया, डिस्कस the women reservation bill in the context of women empowerment or for women empowerment. Here the discuss will be used as a critical command word, right? So it depends on the tone of the question. So tone of the question is very, very important. Now, here very important thing I'm going to explain. Most of us, we think that if the command word is discussed, is it always necessary to write the way forward? Or is it always necessary to write the way forward if we are talking about the challenges or issues? So keep this question in mind, because that part we will discuss in this answer only, right? So as far as the statement, tailword and keyword is concerned, when we divide the statement and tailword, we get the broad heading. And when you are brainstorming the PYQ, please focus on these three terms. Why keyword is important? Because keyword help us to generate the point under these headings, right? So this, इसी को हम लोग टेम्पलेट्स बोलते हैं, फ्रेमवर्क बोलते हैं. Without identifying the keywords, you cannot deploy any framework, or you can say the template in the answer. So it is very important to understand what is the basically keyword, what is the scope of the keyword. So after looking at this question, how many subheading we have in the answer as far as the core demand or non-core demand is concerned? Because if you are not going to break down the statement, you will not be able to identify what is the core demand of the question. Please tell me, how many subheading we have for this answer? 3. Okay. What are the 3? Okay, see again, way forward. Okay. Okay, I'll come to that part. Way forward. Yes, your 2 subheadings. Challenges it creates. ठीक है, fine. Any non-core demand?
What is significance of constitutional text? And then like defining it in really small way, then focusing on constitutional silence.
Yes, very good. So first, we can talk about, see, whatever he said, he is also saying the same thing, but he has just added one extra dimension, जिसको हम लोग non-core demand बोलते हैं, right? What it will do, it will just add few extra points in your answer, right? Whatever you said, that we will discuss the significance of constitutional silence, and we will talk about the challenges it creates. Yes, Mani, right. But sorry, the non-core demand is significance of even the text, right? तो आप थोड़ा सा एक broadly ये भी बता सकते हो कि what is the significance of the text also, but in a very briefly manner, right? That it talks about the structure of the government, structure of the judiciary, it talks about the limitations, right? So basically थोड़ा सा एक brief कर दो and then talk about the significance of the silences. Now, as far as the silence is concerned, right? What is, I'm not asking the content you have written. I'm least concerned about the content which you guys have written. I want you to, anyone, tell me, is there any framework or template you could think of while generating the point? Yes? Okay. Judiciary, legislature, all these. Okay. Any other? Various amendments. So, like, but still, if you have to think about the amendments, there has to be broad parameters on which, because ऐसे अगर हम amendment सोचने लग जाएंगे, then it will be very difficult, right? एक structure होना चाहिए. लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ी है सबने, है ना? लक्ष्मीकांत तो पढ़ी होगी सबने. उसके चैप्टर उठा लें. Can we pick up the chapters? Huh? Now can you think, starting from so that is what I'm saying. So you are telling me one point. I want you to think about ki this is the broad structure or the framework I am going to place in my answer. Based on that, I will give the example. Whatever you are saying, basic structure doctrine, that is the example of judicial innovation, right? That is example you are telling me. But how I can make sure that I give at least 7-8 points?
So you start a preamble, so how secularism was a silent value.
Yes, start from the preamble, then fundamental rights, DPSP.
Debate that was there.
Yes, DPSP, like what kind of economy we should choose and all. It was kept open, right, for social empowerment, economic justice and all, right? Then we can move to the parliament. Then we can talk about the judiciary. We can talk about the grassroots level development, right? Yes, Arjun, very good. Guide to foreign policy in Article 51. So you have to think. अगर आप लक्ष्मीकांत के चैप्टर ही देख लोगे तो in every chapter you will find there would not have been any changes if the constitution would not have been silent. एक एक एग्जांपल निकाल लोगे कि नहीं हर एक में, right? So that basically there is another way. This is the one way to think about the significance of silence, right? But if you have to think in the terms of, yes, Mani, absolutely right, citizenship, fundamental right, DPSP, executive, legislature, judiciary, statutory bodies and all, right? Now the next question is there any other set of keywords can you think of?
Judicial activism,
Okay.
living document,
Broad keywords you can think of. See, whatever we are discussing, we are just discussing the examples. We are discussing the examples, right? But I want you to think of what is the purpose.
the spirit of
Abstract क्या है? Abstract, जैसे कि for example innovation. I have given the word for constitutional innovation. The constitution text was silence in many aspects, right? So constitutional innovation is one abstract, right? For example, I talk about the scalability, adaptability, legitimacy. It's like that. So can you think of the set of keywords? वो तो सारी हैं contemporary relevance.
procedural flexibility,
फॉर एग्जाम्पल जैसे कि देखो ये कीवर्ड्स मैं क्यों बता रहा हूं, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द पर्पस ऑफ दीज कीवर्ड्स बिकॉज व्हेन यू विल बी ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस you have to think or you have to prepare the set of keywords which you can use in your answer, and trust me, these keywords are going to help you a lot as far as the points generation is concerned, right? It is very, very important. For example, as far as the scalability is concerned, right? As far as the capacity is concerned, right? As far as the adaptability is concerned, right? As far as the legitimacy is concerned, as far as the efficiency is concerned, as far as the representation is concerned, as far as the innovation is concerned, as far as the participation is concerned. Now, for example, these are the set of keywords, right? Scalability, capacity, adaptability, legitimacy. अब इसमें एक एक एग्जाम्पल सेट कर दो, right? Like how the constitution silence makes the constitution scalable. Scalable कैसे बनाता है? For example, through amendment, through constitutional morality. You can give one example. Yes, through constitutionalism. As far as the capacity is concerned, how constitutional silence enhances the capacity. कैसे करता है? Example?
So, Article 20.
Okay, but capacity की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे. When we are talking about the capacity, we are thinking in terms of some bodies. जैसे कि model code of conduct we can say. Yes. Adaptability का example.
Sir, then Article 20.
Yes. Legitimacy. Huh? Yes. Basic structure doctrine and all we can quote, right? Yes. Right. So this is how we have to think about it, right? So there are set of keywords you have to frame, because usually you know what happens. Aditya, it's the same thing whatever I am repeating, so they are not saying anything differently, right? They are just adding the example to it. So, and they are not having the mic, so that is the reason you are not able to listen what offline students are saying. But we will discuss, don't worry, Aditya. Right. So basically, why I am saying to have, why you need to have these kind of keywords, because most of the time in answers, when I'm discussing the answers with the students one-to-one, I find the issues with the phrasing itself. Phrasing में problem होती है. What is the problem? Sometime either we miss the abstract or sometime either we miss the example itself. हम लोग खाली example लिख के आ जाते हैं. We just write the example without the abstract or without the context. Sometimes we just write the context but without example. So either way is not a right way to frame the sentences, right? You have, because these are the outcome of constitutional silence. It makes our constitution scalable, more legitimate, more adaptable, right? More responsive, more participative. For example, participative means, example? How? Very good. 73rd, 74th Amendment Act, right? Innovation, basic structure doctrine. Yes, various doctrine, we can talk about that. Yes. So this is how we have to think about the keywords. So when you are brainstorming the, see, बहुत ही clearly I am going to tell you one thing. In the next 2 months, right? If there is only one thing which is going to help you in the mains, it's the brainstorming. Trust me on this part. I have seen many students who have cleared the mains and the interview last year. You come and talk to them. They are here only. They will tell you the power of this brainstorming. Though I am going to help you in every session, even all the rankers who are going to take the discussions, they will be taking the discussions, all the 5 rankers. But still you have to spend most of your time in brainstorming only. You do it for 1 week. Trust me, you just do it for 1 week. And you will realize the significance or the mastery you will notice as far as the answer writing is concerned. Because it is not only about the answer writing. When you will do the brainstorming, you will realize where are the gaps in your notes. Otherwise, how are you going to identify the gaps in your notes? आप बस पढ़ोगे, revise कर लोगे. That is what you can do. But when you will apply this, brainstorm the questions, you will realize, okay, this is the gap. And I will fill that gap. Right? So this is the first core demand of the question. What you have written in the introduction? Anyone?
Indian Constitution is the lengthiest written constitution in the world. Talking about it, number of articles and schedules. Then I wrote about it, but still it has many things undefined. So that constitutes the
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
I went to write about the spirit, that how spirit of constitutional is more important than the mere constitutional text.
It's not more, but
No, sir, not like that. It reflects the significance of spirit of constitutional text over mere constitutional text.
okay. Yes, Aditya, very good. In deemed assent case, the court has said the silence was deliberate. That is what I have started the discussion itself. That it was deliberately, the constitution was designed like this, right? Instead of expressing everything in the form of text, the framer of the constitution has deliberately left the silence.
So what case law did you use?
It's a deemed assent case, right? So that is what. Now, as far as the introduction is concerned, अब यहाँ पे भी ना बहुत लोग confusion होता है. ठीक है, I'll just give you a brief about the introduction and I will not be repeating this part in the next class. You have to, don't ask me, sir, why this introduction and why not that. So please listen to me very carefully. Introduction are of 4 kinds: significance based, issue based, right, concept based or definition based, and paradox based. These are the 4 type of question introduction we need to think about. Significance based question usually we use when the question is significance based, जो मैंने starting में बोला था, right? For the question, for example, the question asks you to discuss the significance of some literature, some painting, some architecture. Mostly the significance based questions are used in GS paper 1 static subjects, right? Otherwise, in almost every question, especially in GS paper 2 and 3, more than 90% of the question will be issue based. They will be highlighting some issues, whether it is issues related to the governors, the parliamentary functioning, whether violation of fundamental rights, issues as far as the grassroots level democracy is concerned. Everyone is talking, almost 80-90% question will be based on the issue, because अगर issue ही नहीं होगा तो UPSC question ही क्यों पूछेगा? As simple as that, right? Then concept based, concept and definition based introduction, जहां पे you have to write the concepts or definition. And these questions are, for example, where the question, for example, this question, is it issue based or significance based or concept based? Very good. It's a concept and significance also, we can say. So in concept based introduction or we can use either we can define the concept, we can talk about it, we can describe it, right? Now, what is a paradox based introduction?
Like the economy में जो questions आते हैं, growth वगैरह पे.
Question is in this test paper for the paradox based question.
Mostly you will find the paradox based question in governance के paper, social justice में, even in economy, inclusive growth, right? कि one for example, one, हाँ, जैसे employment with compared with the GDP growth, right? So these are paradox. But in all the cases, try to mention some facts. You cannot justify the significance without facts, issue without facts. Haan, as far as the concept based questions are concerned, use definition or phrases or some quotes, right? So in this question, we can rightly said that the constitution as a living document adopt as per the time. Yes. So even this can be the introduction. Correct? Clear? And obviously the first statement, the statement which I said, that the constitution drives its legitimacy not only from the context, the text, but also from the deliberate silence.
How
And
do we distinguish between the deliberate silence and the spirit? Because when I read this, I thought it is about spirit. The constitution.
Why there will be a spirit? Because there is a scope of interpretation in a different way. And if the constitution would not be a silence, how you will be, like, how the spirit wala concept will work?
So if we
For example, when we are talking about the spirit, we talk about the constitutional morality, right? So when we are talking, so constitutional morality, judiciary is able to interpret the text of the constitution through the constitutional morality lens. The reason is because there are deliberate silence in the constitution. Understood? So this is the case. So finally, the last part is, what are the challenges it creates? What are the challenges it creates?
separation of power.
Okay, separation of power. What else?
Might reach to judicial overreach.
Judicial overreach.
Conflicts between judicial override.
Okay, वो judicial overreach में आ जाएगा. What else? Federalism. How? Okay, federal issues. What else?
So the governor issues are the company that is also due to silence in some cases.
Yes, it is due to silence. It will come under the federalism wala issue. You can give the example.
Can we quote the NPF issue in this, the 99th amendment?
That will go, I think, judicial accountability wala issue. Because judicial accountability is also being questioned. Because judiciary is using its power, right? Arbitrary, executive, and also, I think this is not that difficult to think about the challenges. Now, how many of you have written the way forward? Okay, now let me give you a clarity here, right? Many of you think when we are talking about the issues, or challenges, after the significance, then we have to talk about the way forward. Right? This is what we think. But let me tell you one thing. No need to explicitly talk about the way forward or suggestions unless you know what exactly needs to be done. What exactly needs to be done? This is not a debate, this is not a tussle. Right? This balance, though there are some hiccups, there are some problems, right, which the constitutional silence create, but इसका क्या आप मुझे fixed solution दे सकते हो कि this is, if we will do this, we will be able to restore or we will be able to resolve the problem. Can we do this? Answer is no. If the question, now how are you going to decide whether I need to add the way forward subheading explicitly? For that, you need to ask the question, in what context the question is asked. अगर question में आपको problem दिख रही है, if the question is based on the problem or issue based question, if it is an issue based or problem based question, then you must have the way forward. Otherwise, you can write the futuristic conclusion. You can add a paragraph where the tone of the conclusion can be like the precautionary measures you can suggest in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 keywords. That's it. अब इसमें आप लोगों ने वे फॉरवर्ड लिखा है, मैं चैलेंज दे रहा हूं, टेल मी द वन स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट यू कुड हैव you may have written.
I wrote that, like, we have to ensure judicial independence for this, to ensure that constitutional silence is protected, maximal constitutional morality.
Okay, you have said the judicial independence needs to be ensured. It is not ensured. Judicial independence is not ensured. भाई अब क्या बचा है? अब सब कुछ तो दे दिया जुडिशरी ने को. एनजैक आया था, वो भी चला गया. What is left? What is the second point?
Maximal constitutional morality. Like, constitutional morality.
Constitutional morality should be followed, right? There is a debate that the constitutional morality should be discarded. Yes, there is a debate. You go and check, the constitutional morality should be discarded. So, see, always remember this statement. Right way forward. When you know how to close the statement. How to close the statement. What do you mean by how to close the statement? When you exactly know what if we will do this, the problem will be solved. Don't ever leave the unclosed statement in the introduction. कि हम ये कर देंगे, हम अवेयरनेस फैला देंगे. कैसे फैलाओगे? क्या इंपैक्ट होगा उसका? Right? Don't ever do this. Because your examiner, he is going, trust me, examiner is going to read your answer not more than in 30 seconds. ठीक है? यहां इस टाइप से नहीं कि 2 घंटे में बैठ के वो एक कॉपी आराम से चेक कर रहे हैं चाय पीते हुए. They have to evaluate. You don't even know how many copies, 20-30 copies every day per examiner. So he will not be reading your answer in more than 30 seconds. Now you can imagine. He will just take a look. एक फ्लैश की तरह एक आंसर जाएगा. He will read the introduction properly, maybe. And after reading 3-4 introduction, he will make a perception whether you know something or whether you have just come here with the rote learning. And based on that perception, you will get the marks. That is the reason why you come across so many controversies. कि मेरा ये पेपर तो यार बहुत ही अच्छा गया था, मैंने तो 15 मार्कर भर भर के लिखे हैं. Right? But I messed up with the 10 marker question, especially the first 5 question, because I start writing the paper from the back. That doesn't mean the examiner will also start checking the paper from the back. Right? But does it make any sense? If you don't know some question, you can keep it for the last half an hour. Otherwise, even if I'll give you the copy to evaluate, you will start from the first question itself. Right? इतना दिमाग कौन लगा, मैंने पीछे से स्टार्ट करूंगा मैं. बाय द टाइम आपको पता है कि लास्ट में आप भर भर के पीछे से लिख के आते हो. दिस इज आई हैव सीन. So don't do it. Write introduction properly, because with your introduction only, when you will come for 1-to-1, trust me, I will just read the introduction and I'll find whether you have understood the demand of the question or not. Trust me, this will happen. So introduction and conclusion has to be very, very strong. And as far as the way forward is concerned, don't leave the open-ended statement, right? Always close the statement. If you don't know how to close the statement, if you don't have a concrete point, don't write it. Just write the futuristic conclusion. So this was the entire approach for this answer. So you can read the slides later on. I have just used the quote that the Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar recognized this balance by describing the Constitution as a workable and flexible, or as a living document also you can use. So living document is a very good quote you could have used in the introduction itself, right? This silence makes our Constitution a living document. Yes. Karthik says, Manoj Narula case ruled constitutional silence or abeyance as a progressive serve as an advanced practice to fill the legislative gaps in the interest of justice. Yes, Karthik, very good. You can use this in the conclusion also, right? So you can refer some Supreme Court judgment also. as a conclusion. Yes, very good case. Now, the second question. Excessive insulation of the judiciary may lead to opacity. Excessive accountability may lead to executive influence. Discuss the challenges in balancing these two constitutional imperatives. How many of you have got this question? Maniba, you will get these slides on the portal itself. We will upload these slides on the portal. Don't worry. How many of you were able to decode the demand of this question itself? In what context this question is asked? Difficult लगा? Ordinance making power? यार आप लोग करंट अफेयर पढ़ रहे हो? There is only one debate which is extremely important as far as the judiciary is concerned, and that debate is striking a balance between judicial independence and judicial accountability. Huh? Why you are not confident then? I need confidence, man. If you are not confident, कोई मतलब नहीं है उसका, right? Because if you lose the confidence in the examination hall, you will not compromise with just one answer, many answer. In many answer, you will going to compromise with the quality of content. So make sure you are confident. Right, now, very good, Arjun. So it is judicial independence and accountability. Right? Now, next thing is, whenever you read the question, the very first step you are going to ask yourself, why this question is asked. This is the best way to think about the introduction. When you know why this question is asked, the answer of this question will become your introduction. Why this question is asked? Current affair पढ़ रहे हो, there are hell lot of examples as far as the debate or balance between the judicial accountability and judicial independence is concerned. Yes? Judicial corruption contempt हो जाएगा. NCERT में वही हुआ है भी. NCERT के केस में. Never say this. हाँ? Article 152 के context में काफी आया करता है ये जब judiciary कोई चीज नया. Recent cases, any cases? Example, Constitution article मत बताओ, example बताओ. Money, don't use so those kind of statement. It may backfire. Government, governor of. How does it reflect the conflict? NJAC, yes. So Karthik, NJAC. You said, okay, fine. You someone is saying NJAC case. Okay. So yes. So see, you can quote any recent example because, and that is the reason why I said when you are thinking about why, you should know the context. Why this question is still relevant. There are so many cases. For example, जैसे Supreme Court now frequently uses its contempt power, right? Contempt power use कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है? जैसे अभी NCERT के केस में किया है, उसके पहले प्रशांत भूषण के केस में किया था, कुणाल कामरा के केस में किया, right? है कि नहीं है? So all these incidents raises the question on the judicial accountability itself. And why judiciary is saying we are independent, right? We have these powers, but what about the accountability? So if you are going to write the contextual introduction, contextual means when you know why this question is asked, उसी को context बोलते हैं हम लोग. आप लोगों ने कॉपी में देखा होगा. Yes, Mani, very good. Increasing use of CO motto power and all, right? So when you get the evaluated answers, आपको evaluators लिख के देते हैं ना, write the contextual introduction. What is the context? Context means why this question is asked based on the contemporary issues.
So motto can be under Aravali case, which is like.
But that is a judicial activism.
If I write a generic introduction like judicial accountability versus judicial independence highlights the current debate.
या देखो अभी मैंने इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए क्या बताया था? You forgot that in just 10 minutes. You just forgot in 10 minutes. And I have also asked you to use some data, examples, facts, right? So any examples we can use, right? We can start with the NJAC case. जैसे NJAC में judiciary has highlighted its power, right? That we are independent. We cannot allow the executive interference as far as the appointment process is concerned. So any example we can use as far as the introduction is concerned. For example, in NJAC, the Supreme Court reaffirmed judicial independence as a part of basic structure, but admitted the collegium required greater transparency. A decade later, the debate is no longer independence versus accountability, but the balance between both, right? So how to balance, and that is the demand of the question itself. That is the core demand of the question itself, how to balance. What are the challenges in balancing between the judicial accountability and judicial independence? So hit the core demand or सीधे context पे आ जाओ using some examples, right? Now, how many subheadings we have in this answer? 3. Way forward last होगी? अरे फिर then how come 3? Tell me. Excessive insulation of judiciary may lead to opacity. That is the first demand. What second is excessive accountability may lead to executive influences. That is the second demand. Challenges in balancing these two. This is the third. Okay. Which one is? Yes.
Supposed to or non.
Yes. The first two are non-core demand. How many of you are confused when the question have two statement? Yes. जैसे ऐसी दो स्टेटमेंट होती है ना, पहले एक यूपीएससी स्टेटमेंट ड्रॉप कर देता है और फिर लिखता है. अब उसमें आधे लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं, भाई एड्रेस किसको करना है. It happens, right? When the question is statement based or phrases based, we always get confused. So how do you recognize which is the core demand and non-core demand? हाँ? अच्छा ऐसा है. Let me tell you. अभी रुको मैं. हाँ?
Sir, when the illustration is given, that is not obviously the demand of the question.
Okay. See, when the question will come, I will explain further this concept because this concept is a bit wide. But in this case, I'll just give you a hint. Sometimes the question says discuss in this context. And sometimes the question says discuss the statement. Discuss the statement. Right? No, Arjun, we cannot. I will explain that, Arjun. Yes, you have raised a very good point. Yes, the scope is itself a challenge, but we are talking about the balancing, right? I'll come to that part, Arjun, don't worry. Right? So discuss in this context, then the statement becomes non-core demand. Discuss the statement, then it's a core demand, right? So when the question will come, I will come to that point again. I will not skip, don't worry. There will be questions in the upcoming test. This paper was easy. It was set just to make sure you guys are motivated, because I know the numbers are going to drop as soon we proceed further, right? बहुत लोग लिखना छोड़ देंगे. This is exactly what happens. So I have kept the paper very easy, right? But make sure the question level will go on the tougher side gradually. So this is the three subheading. The first two subheadings are basically non-core demand, and the third is the core demand of the question. Any scope of way forward in this question? How many of you have written the way forward? Okay. Tell me the specific point.
Sir, I was writing this answer in the last, so I created the heading.
Okay, you created the heading, but you had an intention to write the way forward. What are the point you were thinking?
Sir, how can the independence of judiciary would be balanced with its accountability, like including some executive members in the appointment process?
Is it said by someone, or it is your innovation? You are saying the executive should be the part of the appointment process. That is what the Supreme Court has struck down in NJAC.
The reformed version of
paragraph
NJAC.
as a last para, and we can add the Supreme Court judgment in which the CGI itself said that we should make the administrative department of the Supreme Court in the judicial accountability phase,
Uh-huh.
and excessive installation of the judicial when they are discussing the case and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the executive would not get interfering into that.
They do not. Otherwise, it will be a civil contempt if they will interfere. वो तो वैसे भी है.
But the Supreme Court judge, the
Sir,
last CGI told
I
this
don't
in
remember
our
exactly, but many law commissions have exactly NJAC उन्होंने बोला हुआ तो उसको कोट करके तो लिख ही सकते हैं.
Reform. So basically, you don't have a specific point to suggest. That is the idea. You don't have a specific suggestion to write, right? हवा में हम लोग बस बोल सकते हैं कि yes, we should, like judiciary should be more accountable, right? Transparency, it should maintain the transparency as far as the functioning is concerned. As far as, right, they should be more careful when using the contempt power or scandalizing the court. Whenever the Supreme Court uses this code phrases, scandalizing the court system, right? Judiciary should restrain itself from exercising this power. बस यही तो बोल सकते हैं, और क्या बोल सकते हैं specifically?
current judge for CGI also is saying the same thing, that we should make the judiciary more accountable.
That is what I am saying. How? Any specific, give suggestion, any specific, what I said, write the way forward when you can close the statement. Don't leave it open. Otherwise, ये आदत पड़ जाएगी फिर आप लोगों को.
No, I'm talking, I will not give the way forward for this.
हाँ, okay, yes. In the conclusion.
Futuristic para.
Yes.
Giving the example of the CGI.
Right. That we can include. Futuristic conclusion we can write in this question. Right? But since we do not have exact points to be written, it is unnecessarily, don't push yourself. Otherwise, आप बहुत time waste करोगे exam hall में. Right? So, way forward, always remember this one thing. In polity questions, if you are not able to recall any committee, if you are not able to recall any Supreme Court judgment, if you are not able to recall any recommendation from maybe Venkatacharya Commission or National Commission to Review of the Working Constitution, Law Commission recommendation, or any report, right? don't write the way forward itself. Otherwise, you are going to use the just very open-ended statement, which examiner will not even read, because you will not have the specific keywords to use in the answer. Your answer itself will not be visible, and you should be like in trouble. अगर ऐसे 4 क्वेश्चन में दिख गया उसको एग्जामिनर को कि ये ब्लफ ही करने आया है बस, हर क्वेश्चन में वे फॉरवर्ड, देन ही विल मेक अ परसेप्शन. पर फिर उसके आगे के एवरी क्वेश्चन विल बी इवैल्यूएटेड बेस्ड ऑन द परसेप्शन, एंड ट्रस्ट मी इट हैपेंस. आप कर मतलब आई विल नॉट से कि करके देखना फिर पता चलेगा. आई डोंट वांट टू से दिस, बट डोंट डू इट.
Sir, when any Supreme Court judge or CBI give any media statement in a conference or something when they are not in Supreme Court, is it as much as valid we can write in the
Yes.
way forward?
Yes, we can. Right? So this is the question. Now, any template or framework, let's wrap up this quickly. What is the framework you have thought? Excessive insulation of judiciary may lead to opacity. I don't want the point. I need the framework. Process के ऊपर ध्यान दो यार. आप लोग process क्यों नहीं सोचते हो? Always remember one thing. Write down this word process. When you read any question, think about the process. I am going to use this word in the next question also, and you will see hell lot of point you can create. Right? So, when we are talking about that the excessive insulation of the judiciary may lead to opacity, what is the framework you have applied?
In various functions of judiciary, opacity in various functions of judiciary. क्या functions होते हैं? फिर appointments of judges we can.
Yes. So start process सोचो ना. Think process. Right? As far as the appointment is concerned, सीधे ही काम वाम नहीं करोगे क्या? सीधे ही ट्रांसफर पे चले जाओगे? पहले दिन आए ऑफिस में, लाओ ट्रांसफर. थिंक प्रोसेस. अभी फर्स्ट वर्ड आई हैव रिटन, थिंक द लाइक अ प्रोसेस. राइट? Starting from appointment to post retirement, right? Process goes how it goes, basically from appointment to.
Sir, in this can we quote that Ranjan Gogoi is master of the roster
Yes. हाँ, वो किस में आएगा?
during the office in between the office
Function, right? So as far as the appointment is concerned, then as far as their power is concerned, as far as their functions are concerned, right?
even in the post retirement also we can talk about the Ranjan Gogoi is the Rajya Sabha member.
Yes. So post retirement. So these are the areas where the judiciary is insulated. Are you able to understand? No, I'm asking you.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to? Does it make sense? Are you able to apply the template framework? Right? So with this appointment, functioning, even removal. Yes, even removal. Any judge impeached so far?
Not, but 3 judges
Gone through the process, but nothing has happened. Right?
One was about
About
he
to.
resigned. And
Yes, he resigned, and in some cases, I think long time back, I'm not able to recall. I think yes, I think he resigned, and the motion failed itself. Motion failed, right?
the Rajya Sabha.
In the Rajya Sabha, right? So, appointment may how there is a issue with it lead to opacity because of the collegium system. As far as the power is concerned, which power? Contempt power.
Article 142.
Yes, Article 142. Yes, give the examples. recent examples. Now, एक और important, ये सब जो चीजें मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना बीच बीच में, please make sure you write it down, otherwise you will forget it.
But can we also quote that when the Draupadi Murmu asked some pointers or give the explanation to the Supreme Court by using the Article 41, can we also put it in this?
No, but it was not judiciary. Is judiciary bound to? Bound to? It is. They are not bound to. That's fine. It because Constitution says they are not bound to, right? But see examples when you are using, please make sure you use contemporary examples. Contemporary examples, because examiner के mindset को पढ़ो आप समझो. Examiner do not have a model answer. Examiner do not have a digital devices, right? उसके दिमाग में क्या होगा? Probably he will be just reading the newspaper on a daily basis. That is what we expect him to do, right? So all these examples will be on the top of his head. कि recent controversies क्या चल रही है? And when you will write down the recent controversies, then you will identify कि yes. Then the examiner will identify that you are aware of the recent issues taking place or what is happening around you.
Can we quote that Arvind Kejriwal case of Delhi High Court when he accused the judges partial towards the current government and the judge itself remove herself from the case?
Recusal.
Yeah.
But see, recusal is a problem. Very hardly we have seen the judges are being recused. So it's just a one case. But it is a positive thing actually, right? We are talking about the issues here. So there are so many issues. जैसे accountable. That we can talk about. So basically, there are so many contemporary issues. For example, we have said, जैसे मैंने example दी NCERT का issue है, right? प्रशांत भूषण case है, right? So these issues basically reflects the accountability issues with the accountability as far as the contempt power is concerned. Then function में what? Master of the roster. Pendency, judicial pendency, right? Special leave petition, right? Power to appoint its own staff, high element of subjectivity. Yes, Mani, very good point. Loophole of resignation clause is a big issue. Yes. So as far as the removal is concerned, we have discussed it. Post-retirement appointments in Rajya Sabha and all. So see, when we started to think like a process, it made sense. It makes sense. And it also ensures the flow in the answer. It also ensures the flow in the answer. Now, as far as the excessive accountability may lead to executive influences, what points you can talk about? The second core, non-core demand of the question. Yes? आप इस तरीके से सोचो. हाँ, basically that is what we say, politicization of judiciary. So if there will be politicization of judiciary, right, just think from again process. What will happen if the Ram Mandir judgment in what context?
Like accountability, executive influence.
अरे आप दोनों लोग जेल जाएंगे फिर. दोनों लोग ही जेल जाएंगे, एक नहीं. So don't use controversial examples, especially when you see the environment as far as the political parties and all are concerned. Don't use those kind of examples. They are very highly controversial, in fact. ठीक है. So अब यहाँ पे judicial executive influences है ना, politicization of judiciary. तो इससे क्या होगा? सबसे पहले तो judicial independence will be compromised. Judicial independence will be compromised. There could be violation of, very good, separation of power. What else? हाँ हाँ yes कर सकते हो. Yes. What else?
Authoritarian tendencies of execution.
Yes. Authoritarian tendency. What else? Rule of law. Okay. But it says lead to executive influences. Excessive accountability may lead to executive influences. इसको आप कैसे? Perception of justice erodes. Yes. Perception of justice erodes, or the trust may erode between the judiciary and citizens. Why? Because of the interference of executive in the functioning of judiciary. So if the independence of the judiciary will be compromised, then judiciary, being a guardian of your fundamental right, will not be able to deliver what it is supposed to do constitutionally. Right? So this is how you have to think. It is not that difficult to generate the point.
Can we write down Article 32 and Article 21 will lose the spirit of itself? Because Supreme Court is not only doing the Article 32.
वो तो इसी में आ जाएगा ना कहीं इंडिपेंडेंस वाले पॉइंट में. Because if the judiciary independence will be compromised, then yes.
So, like in this question, there are two non-core demands, and there's one core demand, and this is a 10-marker question. Obviously, we don't have much space.
Yes.
So, इसमें कैसे डिसाइड करेंगे non-core demand को कितना स्पेस देना है और core demand को कितना?
देखो, non-core demand को आप इंट्रोडक्शन को फर्स्ट पेज fill with these two dimensions, and on second page challenges. At least you have to make sure you are writing 7-8 points.
I wrote like 2 points in non-core demand.
Were you able to fill the pages? I'm sure with the way forward.
No, sir, I did not write.
Okay.
So we can make the hub and scope diagram for the non-core demands by writing the keywords.
See, try to understand one thing. If you will start, in every question there is a scope of non-core demand, right? In every question. And in every question, if you are going to use the flow charts and diagrams, examiner को लगेगा you are smartly bluffing with me to consume more spaces. In like alternatively, or maybe if you are very good at it, like using a different kind of flow charts and diagrams in your answer, then probably you can use them, right? But not in every answer. Use the flow charts diagram as much as possible to create a mirage. समझ गया मतलब? To create a mirage. What does it mean? You don't know anything, but you are just creating a mirage that you know everything. Right? It's a mirage. Yes. And there are more ways to create a mirage. When you will come for one-to-one with the full length test and half length test, I will tell you how to do it, right? So anyway, so this is, yes, examples. Preetha, which examples you are talking about? See, for this, the second part of the question, like lead to executive influences. See, Preetha, examples cannot be generated. If you know it, you can use it. Points can be generated. Points can be generated. Example कैसे generate? Impeach कर दूं किसी judge को. That is the only way I can generate the examples, right? So though I have given in the PDF that, for example, where excessive, this part, where excessive accountability creates executive risk, right? For example, like NJAC struck down as far as the appointment is concerned, right? As far as transfer becomes the pressure, appointment becomes the selection, budget becomes the leverage, right? Confirmation becomes the veto, removal becomes the political, right? Then investigation becomes the intimidation. These are the example like Justice Jayant Patel, judiciary depends on uniform budget allocation, Justice Akhil Qureshi, elevation delay. all these examples you can use. So I will be share the slides, but focus on these, right? At appointment level, at transfer level, even the budget. For budgetary allocation also judiciary is dependent on the parliament, right? So it becomes a leverage because financial dependence can create a silent institutional pressure. Then confirmation becomes a delay. Executive may stall appointments without formal rejection. For example, Justice Akil Qureshi, not direct influence they can put on the judiciary, but influence तो रहता ही है, right? Government का. So indirectly we can say. Then removal become political. Misconduct proceeding, someone money, you were saying this, removal become political, right? Now, someone asked how to address the last part of the question, challenges. Challenges में क्या लिखा है बताइए? What do you guys have written in the challenges? Yes?
Doctrine of basic structure where invisible hands like making judiciary a super judiciary. So kind of balancing
एक ही पैराग्राफ में सब कुछ लिख दिया है. हाँ?
other points भी है.
हेडिंग बताओ, कीवर्ड्स बताओ.
No strict separation of power. Checks and balance use होता है.
Very good.
Doctrine of basic structure. This itself is a point.
Okay. Basic structure doctrine.
Third is amendability of constitution.
Okay.
Fourth is evolution of extrajudicial bodies like tribunals.
Okay. ठीक है. Good points. Relevant points. Right? Were you able to think? Anyone you have written? क्या लिखा है challenges? हाँ सर. Challenges. अब यार पहले बोल रहे थे लिखा है, बोल रहे अब तो नहीं हुआ. Okay. I thought you have written the challenges. Okay. Right? So basically, challenges we face when there is a conflict between two broad aspects like transparency and accountability, as far as the legitimacy and independence is concerned. Right? So try to identify the keywords where you can highlight the challenges, because this is a conflict between two values, right? One is independence, one is the accountability. Both are values, na? So if they are conflicting in the nature, obviously there will be a challenge. Why there will be a challenge? Because yes. So that is how you have to think. For example, independence versus transparency, right? Accountability versus executive interferences, judicial primacies versus democratic legitimacy, right? Then internal discipline versus external review. So, यार जब brainstorming कर रहे हो ना, always remember this. Don't try to write the answers of the PYQ. Try to write the answer in 30 words. Trust me on this, just 30 words. Try to write the answer in 30 words, not more than that. Only then you will find yourself in a situation that you are using the vocabulary of the paper itself. Otherwise, no Shambhavi, not in. See, introduction मैंने अभी बताया, right? In what cases you can use the introduction? What kind of introduction? Definition will not help. Context, this is a contextual question, issue-based question. So context has to be there. But yes, leaving the question introduction itself blank, right? That's not something we will prefer. So yes, if you are not able to think of anything, write the introduction itself. That's what I can say. Yes?
Sir, why we are brainstorming the PYQ? So can we use your trick, like we just write that 30 words in that?
I will tell you how the PYQ should be referred. I will explain that in a very brief. Yes, almost same points, independence versus transparency, accountability versus executive interferences, but examples, if you see, they could be a different, or the context is different, right? Judicial primacy versus democratic legitimacy, right? So the keywords, the reason why I have written these points so that you can fetch the keywords from here, like independence versus transparency or accountability versus executive interferences. So that was the purpose, right? Or either someone in the class has said that we can use the specific examples like basic structure doctrine is there. So as long as the basic structure doctrine will be there, there will always be a tussle as far as the independence is concerned and accountability is concerned. Why? Because judicial independence is a part of basic structure doctrine. So you cannot say to the judiciary कि you are overstepping your power, right? Judiciary कहेगी हम तो independence है. And as long as judiciary will use Article 142 or judicial overreach, the issue with accountability will always be there, right? So that is how you have to think mechanism, how there is a challenge. What are the mechanism in our constitution, like through constitutional amendment also, right? Through basic structure doctrine also, right? Then at appointment level, like it is very difficult to balance between the transparent appointment and executive influences. So we can think like that. Constitutional silence also creates the tussle. Yes, very good point, Manish. Constitutional silence अभी हमने पढ़ा है ऊपर. Constitution has no expression as far as the appointment is concerned. Correct? So all these points we can write, and there is no scope of the way forward. Obviously, we don't have a specific point. And finally, we can write the conclusion, right? So conclusion में, how many of you have used the Bangalore principle of the judicial conduct? What are the mechanism for judicial accountability in the constitution?
I use the law commission report of
Okay.
Judges can be impeached, sir.
Article 124, 217, Bangalore principle. Anyone has used the Bangalore principle? पढ़ा था किसी ने पहले? यार इतनी बार यूज होता है ये, right? It's a global principle. Globally, judges follows this.
Article 122 and 212.
Mm-hmm. You have used that for the conclusion? Okay. So this is a futuristic conclusion. The Bangalore principle of judicial conduct serves as a global blueprint. India requires a framework preserving judicial primacy while ensuring the transparency, institutional accountability and public trust. अब कैसे कर रहा है ये किसी को नहीं पता है, कैसे करना है. We don't have independent oversight body as in UK. Yes, Arjun, definitely you can use that, right? That you can also, but if you have a ARC report, law commission report, it means you have a solid points. Use them in the way forward. If you have a recommendation, a specific recommendation, use them under the way forward.
Sir, if we have less points like National Judicial Council,
Uh-huh.
by second ARC,
Uh-huh.
that was a single one I have for the
Then if you have a single point, use it in the conclusion itself. Minimum, at least make sure you have 3 points, only then create a separate paragraph. Yes, heading.
third paragraph would be
Just a second. Yes? Services.
All India Judicial Service.
that would the recommendation of manager.
Yes. Yes, all India judicial services for the appointment. That we can write. Right? Now, the last question will not take much time. I think this was a pretty easy question. Right?
Sir, the commission set up by the parliament, can we use that also in way forward?
Commission set up by the parliament.
Parliament.
Which commission?
The Panchi commission.
No, if you have so many recommendations, then see, look at the demand of the question, issue based, and then write the way forward separately. It depends on the tone of the question. Yes. अगर specifically issue दिख रहा है, challenges दिख रहे हैं, then talk about the way forward or suggestion. यार हम suggestions किस चीज, देखो, if there will be issue in the system or political system in India, either there will be a debate, right? People will comment, or either the government will seek some kind of suggestions. Do you think government will seek a suggestion from a UPSC aspirant as far as the debate between the judiciary, accountability and independence is concerned? Huh? Then judiciary खुद आंसर नहीं दे पा रही है उसका, judges. So, as far as the questions on the governance is concerned, which is a very open-ended question, then definitely you can give suggestions, because that is what you are going to have the responsibility for in your district. कि education system, health system, poverty, इनसे deal करो, how to मतलब आप cultural conflict हो रहे हैं, उनसे कैसे आप deal कर सकते हो. So
Can we write down a case study of different
yes,
states or
yes,
different countries?
definitely we can write down, we can use in the way forward. जैसे Arjun has said, independent oversight body as in UK, that we can use.
Even in USA, the Supreme Court is very much powerful.
Don't do, in India we cannot have this. That is what we are debating. How can we use that to have a system like US? They are supreme. Arjun, yes, we can say. Yes, but quote, give the reference. Whenever you are writing the recommendation, give reference in such debatable question, right? If the question would have been comment, when the question is comment, then there is a scope of your opinion. Then in that case, you can write down your own opinion. Otherwise, no. क्योंकि कमेंट भी तो आ सकता है ना, इट्स ए लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग इशू. कमेंट हमेशा उस वहां पे यूज होता है जहां पे इश्यूज बहुत ज्यादा लॉन्ग स्टैंडिंग हो. यूपीएससी ऐसा नहीं पूछेगा कमेंट ऑन द वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल. जो चीज इंप्लीमेंट ही नहीं हुई उसके ऊपर मैं क्या कमेंट करूं? एज सिंपल एज दैट, राइट? यूपीएससी मैक्स कैन आस्क डिस्कस. So derivatives जो होते हैं tailword, it is not randomly put after the question. There is a logic behind it. Gradually you will understand. Discuss is very basic keyword. जैसे आप मीटिंग में जाते हो सबसे पहले दिन क्या करते हो? डिस्कस करते हो, सिंपल सी चीजें with the politician or with your seniors, right? So you discuss everything, whatever you know. Now, last question for my side, then Sachi ma'am will take the discussion. Self-help group, right? So the question says, evaluate the role of self-help group in advancing inclusive development in rural India. Now, very good question as far as the three keywords I have told you in the very beginning, right? As far as the statement is concerned and tailword is concerned and keyword is concerned. So I think statement is quite easy. Evaluate the role of self-help group in advancing inclusive development in rural India. What improvements are necessary to enhance their institutional capacity and social impact, right? How many subheadings you have in the answer? Why 2, man? Very little interpretation it means. Yes? Because you said, okay, question says, evaluate the role of self-help group. This is my first subheading. Then improvement required. This is a second subheading, right? This is how you have interpreted. And most of the question you will find in this manner in exam. यहाँ पे improvement पूछ रहा है. क्यों पूछ रहा है? बिना problem की. There are some issues in the functioning of self-help group. अदरवाइज आप सोल्यूशन तो दे रहे हो, किसका दे रहे हो, क्यों दे रहे हो? सो दिस इज अ प्रॉब्लम.
While writing improvement, I focus upon the tests and
Okay, so you are saying you have written the challenges here and then the suggestions here like this. Okay, fine, you can do this. You can do this if you know a lot of content and on the 6th minute you realize, oh man, I have to write the both. Then how can I accommodate the challenges and the suggestion? Then this is a good way. This kind of structure you can follow if you have less time and you are running out of space. After writing, yes, both via table, right? So, for example, it's a 10-marker question, and you have already discussed the role of self-help group in 1.5 page. Now you are realizing, यार मुझे तो challenges भी लिखना था, अब क्या करूं मैं, right? So instead of writing the challenges and leaving the way forward, or writing the suggestions and leaving the challenges, you can club both in a tabular form. Clear? Now, as far as the statement and tail word is concerned, question is evaluate. This is what you have missed. Evaluate is the critical command word, right? जहां पे आपको मैं आपकी कॉपी इवैल्यूएट करूंगा अगर या डिस्कस करूंगा, सो आई विल टॉक अबाउट योर स्ट्रेंथ, आई विल टॉक अबाउट योर वीकनेस ऑल्सो, एंड देन आई विल गिव यू सजेशंस. सो दैट इज हाउ यू हैव टू थिंक, राइट? सो इसीलिए मैंने बोला है 3 वर्ड ध्यान में रखना. देयर विल बी मेनी क्वेश्चंस वेयर यू मे नॉट बी एबल टू फोकस ऑन, स्पेशली इन लास्ट 1 hour. So you have to make these habits. Now, which keyword I should pick up to generate the point?
So inclusive. So we can start with example.
No, don't tell me the introduction abhi. In body, keyword is used to generate the point. है ना? Templates कैसे generate करेंगे? Tell me the key. Which keyword we can use? Function. Okay. है कहाँ? होना भी तो चाहिए, क्वेश्चन भी तो होना चाहिए. नहीं, टू जनरेट द पॉइंट. अब आई हैव I know as far as the self-help group is concerned, you may be having very less number of एग्जाम्पल्स. कितने एग्जाम्पल्स याद करके आए हो कुतुब मुशरी के अलावा? बताओ. चलो, लखपति दीदी, लिज्जत पापड़, कुतुब मुशरी. अब आगे बताओ. हाँ, ड्रोन दे रहे. व्हाट एल्स? हाँ हाँ, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट भूल रहे हो, सेवा, आशा, NRLM. हाँ, राइट. तो अब इनको एग्जाम्पल, अब देखो प्रॉब्लम जानते हो क्या होगी इस आंसर में? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव जस्ट रिटन द एग्जाम्पल विदाउट एब्स्ट्रैक्ट? यू खाली एग्जाम्पल लिख दिया है, राइट? हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव रिटन द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट, द कंटेक्स्ट? व्हाट इज द एब्स्ट्रैक्ट?
first is increased literacy among rural women,
ओके,
spirit of entrepreneurship,
ओके,
spirit of banking habits,
ओके,
and technology integration.
very good. Now, keywords, you try to use the keywords. For example, many of you have said, Paritha, Arjun, very good, inclusive development is the keyword which I will pick up, right? Inclusive का मतलब, for example, inclusive development हो रहा है ना? What does it mean? हाँ, तो डेवलपमेंट किन किन टर्म्स में हो रहा है? Social and economical, right? Mostly. So basically, for example, like, हाँ, हाँ. So basically, inclusive development के कंपोनेंट को ब्रेक कर दो. right? चाहे वो inclusion, basically inclusion, this is a keyword, this is a keyword, right? And based on the inclusion you can generate the point. Financial inclusion, economic inclusion, women inclusion, social inclusion, institutional inclusion, right? Then democratic inclusion, digital inclusion, and health and nutrition inclusion. And just think about one example. Caste and class inclusion, yes, because in self-help group, irrespective of caste and class, they come together and form an association, right? Financial inclusion, Gina, yes, right? Yes. Yes, Mani, very good. Financial, women empowerment, rural income, social capital, collective action, social inclusion. Yes, good points, good keywords in fact. So basically idea is कि framework में सोचो यार, right? Framework में, whenever you find any question on the inclusive development, you can use this template. Without these components, can we ensure the inclusive development? Answer is no. So even in GS paper 3, whenever you are going to attempt, always have this kind of templates. और इसका एक एक example है, right? जैसे नाबार्ड सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप, right? Then सर्प आंध्र प्रदेश का, कुदुम्बश्री है, right? Then जीविका है. So all these example you can write down. In introduction, what you have written?
Data from the data.
Data, right? डेफिनेशन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप की, अरे कम से कम फिलोसॉफी लिख दी होती. What was the philosophic, any philosophical context you can highlight?
Participation is fundamental principle of good governance.
Okay, and it is achieved through the self help group. ठीक है, ठीक है, बट हमेशा एक एग्जाम्पल जरूर हाईलाइट कर देना, ठीक है? Even we can say that the self help group has transformed from rural development transform the rural development from a beneficiary based approach to community led development, right? Under the National Rural Livelihood Mission, self help group have emerged as an instrument of financial inclusion, women empowerment, and local institution, right? So this is the statement. Now as far as the challenges are concerned, right? How many challenges you have written? Only 4. Why? अच्छा, स्पेस कम था. Okay. See, again, whenever it is a very important point I am telling you, whenever you are reading about the functioning of self-help group, functioning of any institution like ECI, CAG, right? Any institutions, always remember to break down the functioning into the process. Break down the functioning into the process. This is what I have told you in the second question, that I'll come to this point again. किसी भी point को मैं process में break down करता हूं हमेशा. For example, there is a question is discuss the issues in the functioning of parliament, right? So मैं process में देखता हूं parliament की process कैसे चल रही है. bill introduce होता है, पहले बिल इंट्रोड्यूस होता है, फिर मोशन पास होते हैं, देन उसके ऊपर डिबेट होती है, डेलिब्रेशन होता है, डेटा प्रोसेसिंग होती है, कंसेंसस होता है, देन वोटिंग होती है. दिस इज अ प्रोसेस एंड एट एवरी स्टेप यू कैन थिंक अबाउट द इश्यूज. बिल इंट्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, कहां से क्या प्राइवेट बिल इंट्रोड्यूस हो रहा है? नहीं हो रहा है, राइट? प्रोसेस में डिबेट हो रही है, डेलिब्रेशन हो रही है, कमेटी को रिकमेंडेशन ली जा रही है, नहीं हो रही है, राइट? क्या डेटा पब्लिक है? नहीं है. क्या डिबेट हो रही है? वी डोंट नो. पार्टिसिपेशन हो रहा है? नहीं हो रहा है. सो दिस इज हाउ वी हैव टू थिंक. सो इवन इन दिस क्वेश्चन आई आस्क्ड माई सेल्फ, व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस Starting from forming association itself. Then,
The access to credit and functioning is related.
हाँ,
knowledge about the
The professional management.
ऐसे टुकड़ों में मत प्रोसेस सोचो. If you have to practice it, and this will ensure the flow in the answer. Trust me. For example, the social mobilization is the first step. Then group formation. Then regular saving. Then corpus creation, internal lending, credit discipline. Then bank linkage. Then external credit access. Then livelihood enterprises, capacity building, federation formation. Then market linkages, right? And then social action and empowerment. This is a process they follow. And at every process, you can locate the issues. There are almost how many? 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 15, 16 points you can have. I know it is quite easy to write 5, 6 points, right? But when you will have a thought process like this, your points will be different. Otherwise, I will tell you, you may like all of you may have written the challenges, right? कितने लोगों ने क्रेडिट अवेलेबिलिटी चैलेंजेस लिखा है? ऑलमोस्ट सबने लिखा होगा जिसने चैलेंजेस लिखा होगा, राइट? अब किसने इसमें सोशल एक्सक्लूजन लिखा हुआ है? सोशल एक्सक्लूजन पेट्रा, अब तो बाहर निकलो. तो यही देखो, अब यही तो मैं बोल रहा हूं, ऐसे ऐसे पॉइंट लिख रहे हो. There are major issues. Now the functioning of self-help group, government is focusing on it, right? The problem is they are not able to scale themselves. Problem है अब आगे market, right? Problem यहाँ पे आ चुकी है, market linkages की. आप यहीं फंसे हुए हो अभी तक. Now there are more issues as far as the market linkages are concerned, right? As far as the federation formation, capacity building is concerned. अब प्रॉब्लम यहां तक आ चुकी है, यहां नहीं है प्रॉब्लम. गवर्नमेंट इज फोकसिंग ऑन दिस पार्ट, ऑलरेडी हैव लॉन्च सो मेनी प्रोग्राम्स. तो आगे निकलो आप भी, गवर्नमेंट निकल चुकी है अब तो आगे, राइट? एंड फाइनली वी कैन टॉक अबाउट द वे फॉरवर्ड ऑन दीज एस्पेक्ट्स. इन दिस क्वेश्चन, yes, the way forward will go because it is also specifically asked. Even if the question would not have been this much, कि second part नहीं भी होता इसमें, right? If the question would have been evaluate the role of self-help group in advancing the inclusive development in rural India, अगर यहां तक भी होता तो भी स्ट्रक्चर सेम ही जाएगा, right? So you can talk about the various. Now, what is the scope of value addition in this question? कैसे value addition highlight करोगे? Yes, various case studies. And remember one thing, very important, case studies में जब भी आप case studies डालते हो, कुदुम्बश्री डाल दिया, लिज्जत पापड़ डाल दिया, क्या हो रहा है वो भी तो बता दो एक लाइन में. We don't even brief about it. I'm not saying explain in half page, but at least how did it empower the women, whether it could be like digital empowerment, fiscal empowerment, or it could be anything. एक लाइन में बता दो, right? So just don't drop the, when you are specifically writing the case studies, I'm saying, तो वो सब चीजें कर दो, right? So capacity inclusion की बात कर सकते हैं, market inclusion, right? So again, improvement at various level of inclusion, right? Capacity inclusion, market inclusion, institutional inclusion, social inclusion, government inclusion, and Lakpati Didi model promote income enhancement plus social empowerment as the convergence goal. This is a goal which we are trying to achieve. So conclusion में हमने ये दिखा दिया कि हम क्या achieve करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, and then Lakpati Didi can be a model. So even the conclusion can have the case studies, right? So that is what we can write down. So finally, the quote, self-help group are not merely credit groups, they are platform for social transformation, right? So just a very simple line. But if you would use the Lakpati Didi scheme and all, and goal, right? I hope you know this, that in conclusion is always a broad goal. ये मैं पहले भी अगर आपने मेरी वीडियो देखे होंगे तो मैं हमेशा बोलता हूं ब्रॉड गोल शुड बी द ऑब्जेक्टिव कि हमको व्हाट वी विल अचीव, इट हैज टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ द कंक्लूजन. ठीक है. सो आई सो नाउ यस एसडीजी हो गए, कमिटमेंट्स हो गए, ये सारी चीजें. सो आई विल रैप अप. सची मैम विल टेक, शी विल शेयर हर ओन वे how she has wrote the answers in her attempt, right? So focus on what, like whatever she is going to suggest. Yes.
Sir, you said you would tell the PYQ.
Acha, PYQ. Yeah, I think it will be late. Drop me a message on the Telegram. Probably we will meet. I'll conduct a meeting, right? I'll send a Zoom link on the group, and then I will tell you how to utilize the PYQ in next 2 months. The shortest possible way. You have seen the smashers, you have the smashers, you got access, right? So how to utilize the PYQ with the smasher and your own notes. I don't want anything else on your table. PYQ, smasher, your notes, and a digital device. That's it. Okay, and I'll tell you how to use them for completing the syllabus. Okay, so I'll see you after the class. Okay, Sachi ma'am, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So, how did you find this test? Doable, moderate, difficult? How was it? Easy? Lengthy? Since it was the first day as well. Am I audible till the back? So you might find so. Okay. So I think most of the things sir has already told. Now let me tell you how I would have approached it in real time examination, because it's very easy to just tell that okay, you can write this, you can write that, but when it comes to write an answer in let's say 7 minutes or 10 minutes, then how should you think? What should be your thought process? Okay, so in my earlier attempt, in my earlier mains, what I used to do was I used to only used to see that okay, if a question is on resource federalism, I only used to tell what I know. I used to not think that okay, what is the demand of the question? The demand of the question here is, so India's fiscal federalism is heavily vertical, transactional and tax centric. In light of this, critically examine the case for institutionalizing resource federalism to ensure more equitable and autonomous state level economic development. What is the demand of the question? What is the crux of this question? Tell me. Online students, please participate. What do you think?
Fiscal federalism in which resources are broadened and not just taxes. And states की taxing power बढ़ा दें अगर वो खुद से अपने resource generate कर पाएं. And they don't have to like rely on vertical, and transactional can be the political aspect of it, because जैसे scheme oriented grants होती हैं PM पोषण वगैरह में, so they only give it to you अगर आप उनकी conditions मानो इस scheme की हैं. Like Bihar and every state like this जो alliances में हैं उनको ज़्यादा benefits मिलते हैं, so that can be a transaction.
What do you mean by resource federalism?
I wrote that not just taxes but broader resources at disposal of sector.
Like?
So like atomic minerals, critical minerals, things like that.
So resource federalism is a governance mechanism or framework in which the resources like oil, gas, water or any other resources are being distributed between center and the states. Okay, now this question is talking about that India's fiscal federalism. Earlier we used to think that okay, fiscal federalism is a very good thing. Yes, it is a good thing, but it has its own complications or limitations. So now we should move from fiscal federalism to resource federalism, where we should allow states to use their own resources, and how it is much above than only fiscal federalism, where states are heavily dependent on the center. So this is the question. The question is how we should move from fiscal federalism to resource federalism, and not only about resource federalism. Getting my point? So in my first mains, I used to think, okay, this is the question. But no, this is not the question. The question is right from the starting that India's fiscal federalism, and then the role of resource federalism. Again, the question is not only talking about to write the prose. The question is saying critically examine. So you have to present your case both for resource federalism, and then you have to present your case that still what can be the challenges or limitations of resource federalism. It's a relatively simple question. There is nothing more complicated or analytical. If you know resource federalism, if you know its pros and cons, you can write a good answer. There is nothing like कि समझ नहीं आ रहा है कि crux क्या है, demand क्या है. It's just the resource federalism. उसको crack कर लिया, you are sorted. Okay. Now tell me what you have written in the points. In the first heading of the body, you will be presenting your case that okay, resource federalism is a good thing. How you will do that? Tell me.
I actually started with defining the heavily vertical transaction.
In the introduction.
From in the non-core demand, the first.
Okay, fair enough.
And then need for institutionalizing resource federalism, and then telling what resource federalism is, and then writing why do we need to institutionalize it, like because fiscal federalism, which is taxation dependent, is very limited. Then exclusive control of resources the center के पास है. The states don't generate much resources of their own, and the political appeasement thing and the grants thing, and limited tax collection power at local government level.
Okay, the points are fair, but these points are a bit generic as well. These points can be written for the challenges for federalism in general as well. Getting my point? Okay. So in the introduction, you can simply define resource federalism. There can be multiple ways. Now, either you can start from context base, where you can show that how states are heavily dependent on the center for their fiscal management. You can cite some data, 41% as per the 16 Finance Commission and such thing, how cess and surcharges are not included into that. Either you can start from that, or you can simply define what? Define the keyword. What is the keyword here? Resource federalism. Or any other introduction you have written or you can think of? Anyone? Principle of subsidiarity. If a question comes from that, then you can write, Arjun. We are much above that. Okay, so in this way you can write. In the body, there will be two headings. First, for the resource federalism, and then the challenges or the limitations of resource federalism. Will you be writing the way forward? If it would have been a 10 marker, I would have not suggested it. But since it's a 15 marker, you will be provided with 3 pages. It's advisable that you write. And this, in the way forward, you should have a balanced or a hybrid model where fiscal federalism cannot be ruled out altogether. You have to take a stand for it. But how resource federalism can be incorporated into the fiscal federalism. That was my first line. Fiscal federalism is a good thing. But now The challenges have emerged, but same goes for everything. Whatever new we have this time, we think, okay, it is very good, but eventually the challenges will come, no? So we have to keep fiscal federalism, but we have to also incorporate resource federalism. Also, a topic like federalism, I would give a 2 cents. Prepare topics of federalism from all the perspective. You know about resource federalism. You can also prepare topics such as green federalism, environmental federalism. Getting my point? So you know that, okay, because UPSC has asked enough question on fiscal federalism. Now it will move beyond it. Where you will be finding it? Through the PYQs, use AI, just read the newspapers. There cannot be any substitute for newspapers. No monthly magazines, nothing. I would suggest you that. Not much, I would not say that, okay, give 2 hours daily to it or such thing like that. 40 to 45 minutes is enough. Okay, now let's start. 3 ways to open the answer. Like first, where you can talk about that what is this debate all about. Resource federalism reframes the debate from sharing taxes to sharing the ownership and rent of the resources, turning states from claimants to stakeholders. Where it is not only talking about that we should share the taxes, but we should share the ownership of the resources. That states should have enough power to utilize, extract, and ultimately sell their resources. This is one way. Second way, data or fact, as I've told you. And the third way is recent context. You can simply talk about 16 Finance Commission and what challenges it has highlighted. Read 16 Finance Commission recommendations. Personally, don't go and read the whole this thing. Any coaching summary would suffice. It would give you crisp UPSC relevant points. Okay. Now, for the case for the resource federalism. First is it corrects vertical imbalance. Now this question is talking about how we should move from fiscal federalism to resource federalism. One way of generating points can be to highlight the challenges of fiscal federalism itself. In that way, you will be indirectly presenting the favorable points for resource federalism. एक चीज की बुराई कर दो, दूसरी चीज अपने आप अच्छी लगेगी आपको. And the question is also talking about that as well. So it corrects the vertical imbalance. Vertical imbalance caused by what? Caused by fiscal federalism. It cuts the transactional dependence. That is, cesses and surcharges sit outside the 41% divisible pool. It beats the resource curse. What is resource curse? Anyone knows? Cooperative federalism. It aligns, since the question is asking about institutionalizing resource federalism. And one of the core components through which fiscal federalism has been institutionalized is by GST Council. So how GST Council is more or less a good or very positive outcome. So GST Council, Niti Aayog, competitive, cooperative spirit. So it aligns with all of these things. Royalty anchor, MADA versus SAIL 2024. So in that as well, Supreme Court has said that royalty is not a tax. States, what they generally do is, states used to charge the royalty. And Center was saying that no, they cannot do that because it's a tax and we have a share in that. But Supreme Court has said that royalty is not a tax and state can tax mineral rights. They have their constitutional base for that. So use such Supreme Court judgments in favor or in against of your answer. Prepare 4 to 5 case laws for every theme of the polity or governance, in which fiscal federalism is one of the theme. Prepare 4 to 5 case laws of Supreme Court or any important High Court judgment. That will do your work for the value addition part. This is Mada versus Sale, Arjun. Okay. Green energy federalism, environmental federalism, autonomous development. It will help the states to develop on an autonomous basis. Equity via compensation. So district mineral foundation is an embryonic model to institutionalize further. Complements the finance commission. So 15th finance commission has talked about income distance. What do you mean by income distance? Anyone knows?
Different states have different per capita income.
So it will help to overcome that. Okay. Federal balance. So you can use in general generic like Article 246, 7th schedule, basic structure, SR Bomai cases. You can use these things. You'll be reading this in the simple Lakshmikant book only. Okay. Now the critical examination. Why? Because critically examine the question, the tail word is there. So it worsens the horizontal inequity. So in resource federalism, we are only talking about those states which have resources. But what about those states which do not have resources? Resource cannot be the only criteria or basis for the distribution or any sort of deal with the center or states. We have to think of the other states as well, like Bihar, like UP. Just because they do not have resources, that does not mean that we should make them feel left behind. Okay, so there has to be a total or summary of all of it. It threatens the single market. If every state will be using its own royalty and own taxing charges using the mineral basis as their criteria, it might threaten the single market. The resource curse within states. So not every state. Do you know about Dutch disease? What is it?
When there is a particular focus on only one sector in the economy, other sectors suffer.
So basically what happens if there is, in this particular sense, resource federalism, Dutch disease will apply in a sense that if, let's say, if there is a discovery of any resource, there will be heavy investments of foreign wealth will be coming into that. But what will happen because of that? The other products or other sectors will suffer because the export prices will increase, and they may not find their market in the outside India. So that is Dutch disease. So resource cannot be the single way. Fiscal discipline, risk. So RBI flags state debt to GDP ratio is greater than 30%. You want to leave? You can leave. Environmental trade-off. Monetizing mineral forest can accelerate degradation. So if resource is the basis for using the resource federalism, so it might also lead to exploitation of environmental resources. Constitutional rigidity. So interstate, reverse and offshore minerals, how you will be dividing that? How resource federalism will apply on such things where resources are common. Interstate friction, again same thing. Revenue volatility, commodity linked rents are volatile. Capacity gap, weaker states can institutionalize it to govern complex. But what happens, the thing is, why states like Bihar or Jharkhand are left behind? They have their own resources, they have enough things. One of the important reason is elite capture. They do not let the development percolate to the bottom of the population. So elite capture is still there. Resource federalism will only enhance it because it will give money and other facilities. But if it will not percolate to the bottommost section of the society, there is no point of it. Okay. Now, what we have to do, we have to take a hybrid model where both fiscal federalism and resource federalism and other models of federalism can go hand in hand. So we can operationalize Panchi Commission. Always use commissions, Supreme Court judgments, and department parliamentary standing commission recommendations. हमेशा उन चीज़ों का सहारा लो, because you are no one. कोई नहीं हो, you are only aspiring civil servants. If you will take the backing of such resources or such commissions, so it will help your answer. It will give more substantiation और वो marks आपको fetch करने में help करेगा. 0.5 to 1 mark in each question. सोचो 20 marks का difference है. Across 4 papers 60 marks. रैंक ऐसे इम्प्रूव होती है. ठीक है. सो ग्रीन रिसोर्सेज शेयरिंग, हाइब्रिड डिजाइन, वी कैन अडॉप्ट एनी बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड लाइक Canada, Australia, sub-national resource ownership balanced by robust federal equalization. So there should be any equalization pattern or mechanism through which it happens. It cannot be the sole criteria. Okay. Now, how have you concluded it? Any basis? Any? You have written this question, right? Were you able to write all the questions in a time-bound manner? No? No? It's okay. I would suggest to at least, whenever the timer ends for a particular question, na, just stop your answer then and there itself and start writing the next question. It will help you increase your speed, because what happens, we have the luxury कि अच्छा अभी complete नहीं हुआ, अपन बाद में लिख लेंगे. But until unless we do not give that external stimuli to our brain कि time जा रहा है, अपने questions छूट रहे हैं, marks छूट रहे हैं, तब तक अपना hand और mind तेज काम नहीं करेंगे. So I would suggest जैसे ही वो timer end होता है, stop your answer then and there itself and move forward. At least try to touch each and every question. No matter कि वो complete, don't bother about marks. Hardly two weeks into it and your speed will be sorted. But do not give that luxury to yourself कि no, we can take time and you can take as much time as you want. Do not do that. Okay, so we can use vision oriented. Attach anything to the Viksit Bharat at 2047. Or you can just make it more reformative based conclusion, like how we should rationalize the cess, operationalize the Panchi Commission. Or you can use any quote. Also, for every theme, prepare 2 to 3 quotes. Or any quotation or any sentence made by any Supreme Court judgment or any minister or any expert in the field. And use that quote as a verbatim in conclusion. Because introduction needs to be specific, but conclusion को आप broad रख सकते हो. So prepare, like federalism is an important theme. Prepare 3 to 4 conclusions beforehand. जहाँ पे quotations can be one of your resource, या फिर quotations या फिर any sentence या फिर speech कुछ दियो, that how states and centers should coordinate in economic terms. Many people have said many things. Na? Many important figures, personalities have said that. So use it, and use it ऐसे काम पहले ही करके रख लो ताकि time का issue ना आए. You know, okay, this question has come, my conclusion is sorted. Okay. Next question. Credibility of ECI. So the credibility of electoral democracy rests not only on free and fair elections, but also perceived transparency and institutional independence. Please be mindful of the words transparency and institutional independence. In light of the recent controversy, examine, this is the tail word, examine. Examine the evolving challenges faced by ECI, what reforms are necessary to reinforce public confidence in its impartiality and functioning. How have you approached it? What are the headings that you have given in the body? Shambhavi, you can find important SC judgments like anywhere. You can use AI, you can use Google. It's not a thing कि आपको कहीं Telegram पे बहुत PDFs मिल जाएंगी. हाँ, what have you written? कितनी headings दी हैं? First tell me that. Okay. क्या क्या headings है?
First, non-core dependence of credibility on transparency and institutional independence. Then role of ECI, non-core. Then the core are challenges faced by the ECI and reforms necessary.
Good. Anyone else? So there will be generally 3 heading. Like the first will be that how perceived transparency and institutional independence is an important component for ECI. This will be the non-core demand. Do you know what is non-core and core demand? So you can talk about it, that why there should be perceived transparency. What happens? We only say that okay, we are doing this and we are doing that. ECI बहुत सारे मीडिया और इन सब के सामने आके बताता है. But how it is perceived at the societal level, वो भी देखना बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है. So the perception is also important. The important word is perceived transparency and institutional independence. So how it can make it more transparent. और perception कैसे change होता है? When we make it more transparent. The only way to change perception is to be honest and to be transparent and communicate all the things which are necessary to be communicated. Any relation? How you can improve your perception that no, everything is fine. Just be transparent and just tell everything which is going. It will automatically improve the trust. Okay? So this will be the first, and it will be the non-core demand. So non-core demand is the implicit demand or the context of the question that you have to address. जो main question actual start होने से पहले जो लिखा होता है. So here, in the light of recent controversies, examine the evolving challenges. From here, the main demand starts. But before that, the context is also given. So you have to address the context, and that is the non-core demand. Okay. Second heading is, of course, the straightaway challenges. And finally, the way forward or suggestions. So there can be multiple ways through which you can start. How have you started? Anyone else?
Free and fair election being part of the basic social doctrine.
Very good, very good, very good. Free and fair elections is written in question, and it is the context. And if you address the context in the question, in the introduction itself, it's a very good. Anyone else?
Elections are the life-changing democracy and independent body itself for working the
Use it in the conclusion now. It's a very good quotation, but if you use it in the conclusion, it will be very effective, because what happens is, just after reading the conclusion, the examiner is set to reward you marks. So if your conclusion is very impressive or effective, there are high chances to keep ठीक है यार, body थोड़ी हिल भी गई. If your main course is not very good, but if dessert is like कि गुलाब जामुन तो अच्छा था, ठीक है, चल जाएगा, ऐसे वाली चीज हो जाती है. And it happens. They are also humans, no? So if conclusion is very good and effective, it will in fact help you to overcome that average body of your answer. Okay. So basic, conceptual, like constitutional body, Article 324. Okay. Data or fact that how much India is like, India runs the world's largest electoral exercise, over 96 crore registered voters. How India is perceived to be the largest democracy. Which is the biggest democracy? India is the largest in terms of population. You can also talk about the Supreme Court judgments. Prepare Supreme Court judgments regarding ECI. Of course, as I've told you, ECI is an important. Prepare Supreme Court judgments of the major constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. Okay, so after the Anup Baranwal case, verdict on CEC appointments. So you all must be knowing the recent change in the ECI. The 2023 Act replacing the CGI on panel, and you can simply talk about that.
I used this in the Anup case.
But there are certain issues with this case as well, no? You cannot leave your question on a thing that is still a bit debated. That's why we never leave any answer on challenges. We have to give it a positive or a sense of completion to the answer. If we'll be writing Anup Baranwal, it's not a very celebrated wala cheez na. Still there are many limitations और काफी controversy भी हुई थी उसके. So don't use it. In fact, provide solutions to that. कि अच्छा ये issues से तो how we can improve that. Now, what points have you written? Evolving challenges and all such things. Okay. Anyone else? Tell me, you can.
Recent SIR controversy.
Okay, Karthik, I'll do that. Recent SIR controversy. Anyone else? There are many challenges. ECI is a very common body. Tell me.
Allegations of corruption and EVM hacking.
No, allegations of corruption and EVM hacking. Data hygiene. Okay, good point, Arjun.
Violation of model code of conduct.
MCC is being violated. Anyone else?
And staff not sufficient.
Generic point, but yes, you can use it. Use this point in everybody. No, it's fine. Because anyways, India's anybody is understaffed and overstrained and underfunded. Nobody is like perfect, no? So use it. Good. Okay. Evolving challenges before ECI. How I would have approached it? Okay. ECI is a body. Appointments happen first. Then the members complete their tenure. Finally, they are removed or retired. This is ECI. What are the components of election? If election is considered as an ecosystem, what all components will go into it? Registration of political parties, registration, electoral rolls, proper infrastructure. Do we need funds? It has to be conducted in a free and fair manner. No money and muscle power should be used. Okay. Or the data or the voter registration should be fair. There should not be any duplication or any disruption with regards to that. Okay. MCC and other things should be properly enforced. 3 points, 6 to 7 points. Okay. It's not that you do not know such things. It's just that when you have to write in a very time-bound manner, our thought process goes haywire. क्योंकि पता बहुत कुछ है, लेकिन उतारे कैसे उसको? Then you have to think, okay, from a life cycle approach. So this is the life cycle of an ECI member. First, he or she gets appointed, then completes his or her tenure, and finally gets retired or removed or whatever. So 3 points can be done into that. दैट ओके अपॉइंटमेंट में क्या क्या इश्यूज है, सेम अनूप बदनवाल केस, टेन्योर में क्या क्या इश्यूज आते हैं, एंड फाइनली इफ रिमूव्ड और रिटायर्ड देन क्या क्या इश्यूज है, लाइक व्हाट थिंग्स और व्हाट प्रिविलेजेस डू दे हैव, क्या उनके कुछ आफ्टर रिटायरमेंट कमिटमेंट्स भी होते हैं, इज देयर एनी ब्लॉकेड दैट दे शुड नॉट बी गेट अपॉइंटेड, is there any cool off period before they get appointed to any other body or any other public figure authority. Okay, elections mein registration, are registrations proper, is there any no fault in registration, think of the Assam where large influx of the migrants, Bengal, such things, no. Free and fair elections, muscle and money power, it's still being used, liquor is being sold, it's a fact. In fact, write such things, it will show the examiner that you're connected to the ground, show it that okay how liquor is being sold and how one bottle of liquor is being sold to one vote. It's a sad reality. Election is the foundation of any democracy, we cannot disrupt it in, like that, no. Okay, many things, funds, from where funds are coming, is infrastructure proper, in infrastructure as well. You can talk of capacity building of the teachers of or the people who are like deployed there. You can think of the EVM VVPAT machine, they should be correct, there should not be any disruption or any mishappening to it, and the infrastructure I've talked you. So think of all such points, think of the components, think of the life cycle approach, और उनके कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री चैलेंजेस निकाल लो. चैलेंजेस डन, रिफॉर्म्स लिखने हैं, राइट द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री रिफॉर्म्स. मसल एंड मनी पावर के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, अपॉइंटमेंट प्रोसेस के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, टेन्योर सिक्योर करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं. लाइक दे शुड बी सिक्योर इनफ दैट व्हाई पीपल आर स्केयर्ड. पीपल क्यों स्केयर होते हैं कि भाई इन द एंड इट्स ऑल अबाउट लाइवलीहुड, नौकरी ना चली जाए. बट इफ यू सिक्योर एनीवन्स लाइवलीहुड, एनीवन्स टेन्योर, कि ये बेसिक क्राइटेरियाज के अलावा नोबडी और दे विल बी, कोई और क्राइटेरिया नहीं होगा कि आपको निकाल सके, देन द पर्सन इज मोर incentivized or that person would be having more tendency to work in an honest way. Okay, removal or dismissal wala process, we can secure that as well. Challenges, complementary way forward, do not think of कि हम कुछ अलग way forward बता देंगे, पता होता तो बन जा चुका होता, बहुत कुछ अलग नहीं सोच पाओगे आप, है ना. आपको एंड में कमीशन, सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट्स, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री वे फॉरवर्ड इतना ही लिखना होता है. रियलिस्टिकली व्हेन यू हैव टू राइट आंसर इन अ 3 hour टाइम पीरियड, बैक टू बैक आंसर्स, दिमाग चलना बंद हो जाता है. सो प्रिपेयर सच ट्रिक्स. You know the content, you have to align your thought process so that it can be charted out in a good flow chart way manner. ये वाला ज़्यादा बेहतर प्रोसेस लगेगा, एग्जामिनर को भी पता लगेगा okay you have how your thought process have gone into it. Okay, reforms again, neutral appointments, equal protection for ECs, same points. कोई नया पॉइंट है उसको ऐड कर लेना, लेकिन दिस इज ऑल मैं आराम से एसी में बैठ के पीपीटी बनाइए. You will not be having that luxury. School, government school with no fans, humidity वाले एटमॉस्फेयर में लिखना है. पिक पॉइंट्स जो अच्छे लग रहे हैं कंटेंट वाइज, अदरवाइज यूज द मेथड दैट आई हैव टोल्ड यू. अब broaden your thinking pattern. This is the best practice. This is basically a value addition वाला part. हर जगह मिल जाता है, यहाँ से मिल जाएगा. This PPT will be shared. You will be having the model answers. You will be having the toppers copies. You will be reading the newspaper. Any telegram PDF would suffice for the value addition part. So content can never be the issue. 3 ways to close the answer. Any suggestions for the conclusion? कैसे end किया? Like that person have said the quotation. It's a very good quotation. You can use it in the conclusion. Anyone else? For justice is not to be done, it is to be seen. Apply it at the ECI. Justice is not to be done at the ballot. It is to be seen. Impactful लग रहा है? Relatively better? ऐसा नहीं है quotation नहीं सुनी है. Just tweak it as per the context. What is the context? ECI. Okay. So here it's done. Any issues with these two questions? For justice, must not only be done at the ballot, it must be seen to be done. Karthik. Okay. It will be shared in the Telegram group, Shambhavi. Done with the questions? Any issues? Okay. All the best.
Say how to approach the PYQ.
Just join that session now of that of Virendra sir. It will be very helpful. Just sit with the one resource, PYQs, and done. It's very helpful. You should join it. My personal suggestion. Okay. All the best.